As you know, a whole lot has really been happening ever since the postponement of the general election last Saturday, and now the presidential and the National Assembly elections will be taking place this Saturday, February 23rd, while the governorship and legislative elections will now hold on March 9. And now for its part, INEC has actually not revealed the financial cost. This will cost, it has actually blamed it on logistical problem, in as much as INEC had 4 years to prepare for this. This and more we will be discussing on the topic election postponement and voter participation.
All right, and to discuss that, we have two guests right here in the studio, talking about Sir Mike Oda, Director, Media Communication, Southeast Governors Forum Secretariat. You're welcome to Good Morning, Anambra, once again.
Thank you very much.
We also have Honorable Herbert Oragwe, a psychologist and public affairs analyst. You're welcome to the show.
Good morning.
All right, let's quickly start. When you actually heard about the postponement of the general election last Saturday, what was your reaction?
I was taken aback. Like somebody said, it was a national embarrassment, and I think it still remains one. It was a failure of leadership, and you just mentioned it. 4 years. For 4 years, INEC had all the time to prepare for the election. And 24 hours to that election, there were no excuses. Only for us to be told 6 hours or thereabouts that the event will no longer take place. So, marks of, I don't know how to put it, recklessness. It doesn't make sense. It defeats all principles of logic.
All right, let's get your reaction.
Well, the truth is that it smacks of a lot of irresponsibility. I had about it about 3 a.m. in the morning, and that was through Facebook for a start, and then I turned the television on, and they were saying the same thing. INEC had 4 years, like you said, and up until that Friday, they were assuring us that everything was all right. And then you begin to wonder what they've been doing for over 4 years, near enough 4 years. Why is it that they are not prepared? Or is that something that we don't know that is happening behind closed doors? And when you talk about these logistics, what are actually the logistics? I don't know about others, but I haven't got the details of these logistics problems. And these are the problems they should have foreseen before now, if they were actually prepared. Because you prepare for the seen and the unforeseen. While you plan for the best, while you hope for the best, you plan for the worst case scenario. That is where INEC failed.
Let's come to you, Mr. Uda. Talking about this postponement, a lot of people are of the opinion that some people's mind might be changed as a result of the postponement, because obviously the campaign have started again. Like if I had wanted to vote for a particular political party, and because of this postponement, maybe I'll have a change of mind. Do you think that's going to happen?
I agree completely.
Okay.
A lot of changes have taken place even before this Saturday that will go back. There's already that sense of apathy, because there is a sense of disillusionment and embarrassment. And I can tell you without any fear of equivocation that a lot of money has been spent already on a project that didn't come to pass. And you know how these things play out. Some people were giving money on the eve of that election. And that election did not take place. Now, do you go back to those people and ask them to return the money so that by Saturday you give them again? Suppose they've spent that money.
What happens?
And then there's this natural human tendency to get disappointed and maybe call it quits. After all, the perception of our people about elections is quite different from what obtains in other climes, civilized climes.
Yeah.
So apathy is there, and a whole lot of other things will come into play because of this singular blunder.
All right, just to let you know that this is quite participatory. The numbers are on your screen. We're expecting your call, so you can probably join in the discussion this morning when we talk about the postponement, the election postponement, and of course, why the voters should participate come the Saturday.
Hello, good morning.
All right, let me come to you, sir. For the ordinary citizens, the impact of a week delay will likely be destructive, and in some cases, we know it will be very costly because some money has actually been spent and some money will still be spent. So what do the citizens do? Where do they go from here?
Well, I think what we should do is we should persist and make sure that we cast our votes on Saturday, in as much as it will cost an awful lot more. And then when you talk about the apathy here and there, we know that, people have come down from Lagos, like when I went to my village, people came from Lagos to the east, from Kano and so on and so forth. Their plan was to go back on Monday or Tuesday. Now, it's either they stay so long for another week and spend an awful lot of money, which they never budgeted for. But then again, what my take on it is this. 1 week, to spend that extra money for 1 week is a lot better than to mortgage your future for the next 4 years, because your vote counts. And then when you talk about apathy and then who votes for who this time around, what I believe is you see that APC is accusing PDP of being responsible for the cancellation, and then PDP has reason to believe and say that it's APC that is responsible for the cancellation. So again, there will be sympathy vote depending on how you now believe. So you might have been PDP, but if you believe that, well, PDP actually orchestrated, for some sinister reason, the postponement, then chances are that you vote for APC and vice versa. So yes, it will affect us.
All right, now, what other outcomes would this have on the electorate?
We've mentioned that if there's apathy, that means fewer people will vote than otherwise would have been the case. There will be ambivalence. Some people will get confused, depending on what is their own perception, like my good brother has said. This idea of trading blames for me does not arise. It's a non sequitur. It does not arise. And if does arise, then you don't blame an opposition party in this kind of situation, because we have a government in place. But I don't want to go into those details. So there will be disillusionment, there will be apathy. I can bet you that fewer people will turn up. Then already some people are fighting over money.
Okay, let's pause there. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, sir.
Yes, good morning. Your name and location.
Hello.
We can hear you. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, I'm back from
We didn't get your name. Hello. Calm down.
You're not hearing what you're saying.
I know you could call and you're probably angry about one thing or the other, but you need to calm down so we can hear what you have to tell us this morning. The numbers are on the screen for you to call us, but while you call us, as much as possible, also turn down the volume of your TV set.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, you are connected. Good morning. What's your name and your location?
Hello?
The calls are coming in. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
Good, sir.
Barrister Joseph on the line.
All right, Barrister Anyanti. Where are you calling us from today?
I'm reaching you from Okahie.
All right, good. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, on the topic you have, the Nigerians were disappointed on what the INEC did. Because it's on Friday that day, I remember vividly that I was on this APS television, and I said that the possibility of having this election, especially in Anambra, where you had card leaders, votes, I said that it may not be possible. And I knew very well that election will not hold, and allowed Nigerians to travel from far place. Travel down to my local government, I am the moment stayed throughout the night, only to be told that the election will not hold. However, I want to urge Nigerians that they should try as much as possible to come back and partake in the election so that they can elect their leaders. Because definitely many people suffered that last weekend. Some came down from Abuja, some came down from very far places. So it's not going to be very easy for them to start coming back again. We are going to have voter apathy. But that's
all right, thank you very much.
To just avoid it. Thank you.
All right, Barrister, thank you very
you.
much. Well, a lot of people are really calling and
all right, let's move a little away from the voter participation. Let's talk about the directive given by the president over dealing ruthlessly with anyone that snatches the ballot box on the day of election. Mr. Uda, let's come to you. What's your reaction to that? Do you think it's the right step in the right direction?
As far as I'm concerned, that is a warning to forestall untoward behavior. Some people have called it too harsh. But then we know that, we know the background of the president. We know the language of the soldiers. I don't want to call it harsh. I think it's a warning. And maybe the president chose to be blunt. And that bluntness is also in conformity with his background.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, I want to share my comments. I want to add my comments.
All right,
What's
good.
your name?
Go ahead. Tell us your name and location. Hello, go ahead. Tell us your name and location.
Yeah, my name is Jonathan. I'm calling from Lagos.
Jonathan from Lagos.
Yes.
All right, cool. How's Lagos today, Jonathan?
Yes.
All right, go ahead with your contributions.
Okay. In reference to what the president said, you see, it's not good for a good president that has the intention of the people to stand up to speak in that kind of manner. He's just simply urging the military to go out now and kill the innocent people. And while we are talking about free and fair elections, so where is the free and fair election in this issue? There are national securities all over. There are police. So why involving the military?
All right, Jonathan, thank you so
The work
much.
of the military is a kind of insurgency, but there are insurgencies everywhere, and he's not deploying the military to take care of those ones.
All right, thank you for your contributions, Jonathan.
All right, Jonathan, I think he just went straight to hit the nail on the head. Mr. Uda says, to him, he sees that a warning, considering the background.
No, I think
of
the language
president.
is wrong.
Okay, cool.
I think the president's language is quite wrong. You don't threaten people that when they carry ballot boxes, then they'll pay with their lives. What the president said is quite insightful. And we know what the law says. And everybody knows that if you carry the ballot box, you go to prison anyway if you get caught. So why are we talking about paying with your life? I think what we're doing, is along the lines of national self-harm. That is not the good PR statement that he made. Yes, we know about his background, but he's no longer a military man. Yeah. This is democracy, and he has to abide by the rules of it. Yes, you can warn people not to carry ballot boxes, you can advise, and you can refer them to the Constitution and what the law says about if you carry the ballot box or you get an election. But to threaten people's lives, I think that is going overboard. And then again, what I believe is that, again, one way or the other, that will sway the votes either way. For those who believe in dictatorship, they will vote for him. Those who think, wow, this is shocking, chances are that he will lose votes because of that.
Okay, okay, let's take this call.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
All right, good morning. Your name and location. Hello, your name and location.
I'm calling from Oka.
Yes. What's your name? Hello, what's your name?
My name is Tochukwu.
Go ahead,
All right,
Tochukwu.
Tochukwu.
Hello?
Yes, Tochukwu, make your voice heard. All right, we lost that. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, now a lot of people has actually been condemning the words of the president. Now, looking at what the president has said, yes, like you said, a lot of people could see it as warning. Some other people see it as a means and opportunity that on Saturday, some set of people can just go about to kill anybody and put it on ballot box snatch. What's your take on that?
In human life, a lot of things are possible. We have the principle of relativity, and that is why people are different as to their understanding of what Mr. President said. I call it a warning. Some people say it is too harsh. Okay. Some people, if people go out of their way on Saturday to kill people under the guise of accusing them of toying with ballot paper, that again will be a blunder. Like my good brother has said here, we're operating under the rule of law. We have a constitution. For every action, especially negative ones, there's a sanction of some sort. So anybody who goes contrary to the law will face the music. It's as simple as that.
Yes, nobody's against the fact, nobody's against facing the music. No, we're talking about human life, you know, in the process. If the president says words like this and, you know, people actually hold on to this word and perpetrate this kind of evil act, how is our democracy?
And
how we're practicing
that
this
is what
democracy?
I'm saying. If the president utters a statement, it is up to the people, in this particular case, maybe people who work with security agencies, to interpret what Mr. President has said and to go ahead and implement.
But then you know somebody called and said that
The military.
Do you think they understand the language as
because
warning?
most times when you
The
tell them to
military
do
is a very
something, they will
serious
go overboard.
institution, let me tell you.
Okay.
Much as I'm an advocate of democracy,
Yeah.
I also know that the military is a very strong, disciplined institution. And it is not only fighting wars that is the responsibility of the military. It is the same military that is taking charge of our National Youth Service Corps members. If the military were that daft, would we allow our graduates?
Let us call it finish.
Would we allow our graduates
Before
fresh from the institution
Now.
to pass through the military for drills, for all sorts of things?
Okay, now, the president has given the directive that the military should shoot anyone trying to toy with the ballot box. Don't you think that this will affect the electorate coming out on Saturday to cast their vote, knowing that the military will be there, and then we have other security agencies, all of them there waiting for who will touch, and then they will shoot?
Because my fear, according to what she says, my fear is the man, the number one man in the country, has given an order, which anybody would hold, especially the security agencies, would. Well, after all, the president has actually given us an order to deal ruthlessly with anyone who is found wanted.
Actually, what he gave wasn't a warning. It was a threat. It has moved from being a warning
Okay. Those are
to
two
being a
different
threat.
words now.
That's
We
from
know
him.
what the Constitution says.
Okay.
We know what the law says already. It is all right for the president to remind us of that. But for him to now threaten us with dying if we do this, with death if you carry a ballot box. Now, which means that our lives are what nothing compared to the ballot boxes. That is one thing we must look at. Yes, the military might be disciplined and they interpret it their own way. But then the populace and the electorate might as well interpret it in a different way, meaning that their lives are being threatened. And then again, because he's in control of the military, so to say, being the commander-in-chief, you know, you find out that things just might go
All
out.
right, let's take this call. Hello,
Hello,
good morning.
Mr. President is honoring man.
Good
Hello,
morning.
good morning.
All right, let's move away from
All right,
the
all right.
directive and all that.
As much as possible, we're having a very good discussion, and that's why we want you to call and, of course, air your opinion. We don't intend you calling and insulting anybody or even the president himself. He still remains the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and no one should insult anyone on this platform. Let's come back to what we're discussing about. Okay, now, we're still talking, we'll come back to what the president talked about. Let's talk about the postponement. Now, INEC as a body woke up a few hours before the election day and postponed the election, blaming it on logistics. Now, my question is, what is the proof that this coming Saturday, the election will hold? This morning, on the newspapers this morning, one of the papers, some group are also calling for election postponement.
Again.
I'm not a prophet. I'm a journalist. Anything can happen come Saturday. But I know that it is a little difficult for INEC to solve logistic problems, in quote, within a week. If there were really logistic problems, it would be difficult in a complex Nigerian society for such logistic problems to be sorted out within a week. But then we give them the benefit of the doubt and see how things happen.
Okay.
Okay, much I can say.
Okay, let me come over to you now. INEC has actually announced that parties can resume campaigns till midnight of Thursday. Now, don't you think this would cause an additional burden on parties and candidates?
No, because, I mean, it's level playing ground for everyone. And by the way, for once, the law is being obeyed. The Constitution is being obeyed because it says that, campaigns can continue until 24 hours to the elections. So the controversy they had before now, saying that they cannot continue to campaign, INEC saying that the parties cannot campaign, and there was that controversy. I think that was unconstitutional. So it's down to the parties now to go ahead and do what they need to do and try and sway minds. And guess what? What is happening now, the accusation and counter-accusation between the APC and PDP will actually help an awful lot to sway people's minds one way or the other. So yeah, it's a good development.
All right, what about some people we are like that since there is still time, like we have 1 week, why don't they bring out a day or two to still distribute PVC? Because what's the use of campaign when some people will not even vote on the election day because they don't really have their PVC?
Question is, do we have any PVCs left? Some are burnt. We heard about burning of PVCs here and there. Yeah. We've had accusations of PVCs being sold to people, given to some political parties and things like that. Are there any PVCs really left? There are issues and there are issues. But let's not go into all that, because then by the time we come out of it, we won't know what we're talking about anymore. But I mean, giving more time to give people PVCs, that would have been a good thing to do within this 1 week. But the question is, are the PVCs still there?
What's your reaction to that?
Well, apparently share his views. I don't think that there are PVCs left. And if the new ones are going to be produced, given our level of development, technologically speaking, I don't think it is even feasible that we will be able to produce them within this 1 week and then issue. My advice should be that those who are lucky and fortunate to have their PVCs with them should go out and vote.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is I'm calling from Anambra.
Sorry, we didn't get your name. What's your name again?
Engineer John Paul. I am calling from Oka.
Okay, Engineer John Paul, go ahead.
All right, John Paul, go ahead.
Okay, so I want to conclude by saying that the mission of Postponement, we know that this government came into power unprepared, and at the same time, whatever the policies they are giving out are always born from failures. And having said that, I want to tell that the careful voters, that to be deterred by this response, they should go out today and vote, and protect their votes, and be there and make sure that those votes are counted before the election. Because if they should go out voting, that will give room for rigging. Because I have seen that this government has based their own plans on blame games. Therefore, all Nigerians, all related voters, it works out. Because the government is made of when the time of issue voters card to eligible voters, they are busy talking about dealing with matter. Why they are hiding under the cover of Minister events. Thank you very much for this information for it. That Nigerians are wise, no longer illiterate, and they don't think. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
All right,
John
thank
Paul.
you very much. Well, let's get back now. The election is on Saturday. We know Nigerians is over 180 million people, and report says that over 84 million people are valid, they are registered for this election, and now it has been postponed. Now, do you think a lot of people who probably have traveled back from various places to, take part in this election are ready to redo their travel plans, spend extra time, days, to see and make sure they participate? Because considering 2015 when the election was postponed, at the end of the day we had like 33.5% of those people who were registered actually came to cast their ballot. What's going to be the fate of the electorate this Saturday?
Have you forgotten that at the beginning of this program we talked about voter apathy? Mm-hmm. That is what you are asking again. Apathy could be caused by this kind of scenario that you have just enacted. It is possible, it is probable, it is likely that a lot of people who spent their time and money traveling down to their villages to vote, who were disappointed, may not make it again. We are talking about people who travel within Nigeria. I had a news report that somebody traveled from as far as South Africa and another from Switzerland. And you can imagine, one, cost of flight, two, logistics and other things. Even if you have your money, for instance, and you want to return, are you sure you have your flights available? You have space in the aircraft? These are factors that will give rise to voter apathy that we talked about at the very beginning of this program. So these questions do not arise.
No, I think no sacrifice is too much for our children and children's children. Because this election that we're going to have on Saturday, if we do have it, it will determine an awful lot of things. One, it will determine the shape and nature of our economy. To determine the future of our children and children's children. The next 4 years, it will either make or marry us. So to spend an extra week or two to ensure that you cast your vote towards your future.
Remember that some of these people are working for people. They are employers.
Yes, they are employed by people. Yes, there's that. But there has been excuses about, I'm not feeling well due to personal issues when they're actually feeling well. So those lies that you used to tell in those days, and skip work, we might as well.
You tell it and skip work for 1 week.
Yeah. So if you've got to ensure your children's future, that is what I'm talking about here. Yeah. If you want to sacrifice, listen, that's something that we do here, you see. Some of us go to church and observe 21 days dry fasting just to get our children into a good place or to solve one problem or the other. Then what is 1 week when it comes to, ensuring your children's future? I'm not saying it's going to be easy. There are difficult days ahead, yes. But it's a sacrifice that we should make.
If you flew from South Africa to your village to cast your vote,
flew from London.
You flew from London.
All right.
I
will still get back to that, but we want to go. We want to go.
Was on a date earlier than Saturday.
We'll get back to all that.
Would you have stayed back?
I checked my ticket.
We will get back to all that.
I pay extra money because if you change your ticket, you pay extra money. The airline
for the life of my children's future, yes.
All right.
And how sure are you that your singular vote will affect the lives of your children?
My vote must count.
Are you sure?
I am positive.
All right,
we'll get back to that. Let's just go out and get the views of people out there in the street to know what they think about the postponement and voter participation. We'll be right back.
Disappointing, but I will say participate. It's a civic obligation.
So I felt so disappointed, especially with INEC. But that does not change my view about participating. If they like, let them shift it every two weeks. We keep on until we get it right.
I don't think it has anything to do with my participation. I must participate and I must vote. The chairman of the INEC gave us every assurance that we will all cast our votes. And I'm also asking the Nigerians to keep those things aside, participate in the upcoming election.
The postponement was a very bad one. Logistics, money-wise, and some other things had gone into the election. We have braced it, and we are going to do the election, hopefully successfully.
It won't affect my participation, notwithstanding that it has cost some resources, as at last week, but I'm still dedicated and committed to make sure that I exercise my franchise and making sure that I did my part to make a good Nigeria.
We feel too bad, and all of us are not happy, but anyhow, we need our country to be better. Yes, I will participate in the next election, being on Saturday.
The postponement of the election is very, very bad, and it's very, very sad. I will not say because they postponed this last election, I will still go and vote because that's my civic right.
I felt so sad and surprising when we had the news early morning, this Saturday morning. But you have to take it like that and hope for adjustment and a better and fair election coming Saturday.
I don't know mana ịgwakwaghị eziokwu na nke enwekwere o mekwere nnekwu iwe mee m ndị discouraged mana mba ejiokwu ọnwụ fụta ka mmezu ebe anwụ bụ uche ma iji gosi na bụ ya Nigeria.
I'm not coming because I can't travel home again to come back. So I'm not coming. I don't think that I will travel back home again.
It's amazing. I'm hearing from the people on the streets and getting to feel their pulse and, of course, their opinion as regarding to the election postponement and voter participation. Of course, you actually saw the people talk about it. What are your reactions as regards to their talk? And then again, how can we bring out these voters? How can we talk to the electorate, implore them, encourage them to come out and vote this Saturday?
My joy is that from what we saw now, the majority, greater majority, they're saying that, whenever the election is going to come up, be it in the next 2 weeks or the next 10 weeks, they're going to vote. So now we have an awful lot of political awareness, much more than what we had before now. So my joy is that we're going to come out, come hell or high rain. Many people will do. Some will not, probably because of financial reasons and things like that. But if we're able to look into our crystal balls and see what our not voting, the kind of effect that it might have in the next 4 years, because one single vote can make the difference. That is the truth. We were asked to vote and to make sure that our votes count. So think that, well, if I don't vote, it wouldn't make any difference. That's not true. If all of us sit at home and say, well, it won't make any difference, then nobody's going to vote. And then we sit down and we complain about the government, whether now or in the future. But the fact remains that we all are prophets in our own rights. So deep down, if you actually kneel down and pray, God will reveal to you that, listen, if you don't vote in this election, you just might be mortgaging the future of your children. So spending another week or even 2 for the future of our children, it's not too much a sacrifice to make. Yeah. Like I will always say, we go to church, we pray for our children, we fast for days and days and days for our children. And then this singular act that you can do on your own, hello.
Mike, you saw the last person there in the voice box. She said that she's not going back. Yeah. She traveled. Yeah. So how do we convince people like that? Because we know we have a lot of them out there that saying that they are not going back, they are not casting their vote again. So how do we convince them to come out on the 23rd to cast their vote?
Part of the reason we are here is to convince them. Mm-hmm. My brother has said it all. Voting is key. You don't go to a football match as a spectator and expect a result. You go as a participant, which is when you vote that you have contributed to the success and or failure of your candidate or his opponent. So voting is key. There can be no doubt about it. I believe that part of the reason we are here is also to talk to people. We talk to them as your guests. You talk to them too. There is need for people to go and vote, independently of what may have happened.
All right, thank you very much. Well, you've heard it from our guest in the house this morning, and we'll still keep talking about it. Today is Tuesday, the election is Saturday, and we're calling on every Nigerian. Yes, we know a lot of things really went wrong as regarding the postponement, but hey, it is our future. We cannot say because it was postponed, we will not participate and, of course, take part as regarding voting the right candidates or our leaders who's going to lead us for the next 4 years. So we're actually calling on everybody to come out, get your PVCs, clean them up, and of course, go and make it happen on Saturday.
Yeah, I share the same view with you. The only thing we need to do is just to go out and exercise our franchise. Yes, I know it's going to be very difficult. I know a lot of people have spent money and all that, but then it's going to be difficult. But what we are trying to tell you that this 1 week or the money you are going to spend is not going to be too much. I know it will be a burden to some people, but it's not going to be too much. We're just asking you to come out on Saturday and cast your vote. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And yes, I want to say a very big thank you to our guest in the house who's helped us this morning.
Talking about Sir Mike Oda, the Director of Media Communication, Southeast Governors Forum Secretariat. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I'm glad being here.
Yeah. And also, Honorable Hubert Oragri, a psychologist and public affairs analyst. Thank you also for coming.
Thanks for having me this morning.
We keep playing the song, No Shishi for Bribe. I don't know what you understand by it, but the truth is, you have to come out, you have to vote. You don't have to sell your vote. You don't have to take any bribe. You have to come out, vote for who you want to vote for. And of course, let's make Nigeria great again.